Interviewing everyone from actors, authors, and international designers to British royalty. A former TV host and producer, she's created content for major media including CTV, MSN, HGTV, W Network, and YTV in print, online, and broadcast. At Take On the World, Kathy makes speakers and entrepreneurs irresistible to their ideal clients by writing their website copy, teaching them to shine on camera, editing their books, speaking about brand voice and messaging, and moderating panels. Kathy is also co-host with Patty Pokerchuk of The Real Entrepreneur Show, available on YouTube. So please join me in welcoming your moderator and our panelists tonight.
Can you hear me? I don't know if I'm on. I'm on. Excellent. Did you guys know that only 25% of CAPS members actually make their primary income through keynoting? 25%. That means 75% of us aren't, right? And what that really means is that there are all kinds of ways to make money as a speaker, right? There are webinars, there are workshops, there are all kinds of breakout sessions a lot of us do. There's even panel moderating, who knew? And the thing about this is that, unlike Beatles' Monopoly money, we have a chance to make the real thing, and more of it. Because I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people who sees the glass half full. Tonight we're going to talk about all the things that are out there that we could look at as oncoming trains, you know, all the TEDx stuff and all of the execs that are speaking and all the celebrity speakers and so on. But tonight we're going to look at this as opportunities, and it's a rich discussion. So these guys hate me already, but we're only going to let them speak for a minute. And I don't have a cattle prod, so I can't kick that far down the table, but I know Jennifer's going to stick to it. So we're going to start with a question to each one of the panelists so you get to know them, and then we're going to open it up so that they can all answer each of the following questions. So Sami Jo.
I get to go first.
Yes, I'm going to tell them about you, I know they know, but Sami is a CSP and a 3-time Olympian in ice hockey with 2 gold medals and 1 silver as a goaltender for Canada. She has her mechanical engineering degree from Stanford University and is a full-time keynoter speaking on teamwork. Have you got your mic? That's,
no, I thought we were using yours.
We've got another one for you guys.
Oh.
He's on it.
You start the question slowly.
Thank you. I'll start it very slowly. Kathy?
Should know how this works.
She's an identical twin, actually. Sami couldn't make it, but Sami Jo, J-O-E, is here. How can we be more competitive, Sami, on the platform and keep our talks sounding fresh and new?
Interesting. I think that mine is not fresh and new. My speech that I give, honestly, I've been giving it for 15 years, almost. It's almost the exact same thing. I tailor it to the client, or they think I do, but I don't know. There's a few odd words that go in there that change it according to them. But for me, I think that I try to make it to them as if it's the first time they've heard it. I see myself as more of an actor, I guess, than a speaker, because I'm giving the same speech over and over and over, and I want it to be fresh and new for me, so I really try to feel it each and every time, because it's not really fresh and new. I think everybody else is maybe different, but yeah, I want it to be great for that audience. I realize that they're only going to hear it once, and I want it to be amazing for them.
Excellent. I love that piece about us being actors. That's a really great insight. Jo Sherren, here to my right, is a CSP, as we know, Hall of Fame speaker, Global Speaking Fellow, and past president of CAPS and the Global Speakers Federation. He's a member of the Canadian Professional Sales Association, a top-rated instructor at the Schulich School of Business, executive programs at York University, and a 2-time national best-selling author. Whew, that maybe took half your minute there. You've said, Jo, about the speaking industry, something very interesting, that people are seeing through us. What do you mean, and how can we address that?
Okay, that comes right back to the issue of credibility. When this industry really first started getting going back in the 1970s, if you were speaking about leadership, then you were somebody who's written up about in Forbes magazine or Fast magazine or one of those magazines. If you're going to speak about mountain climbing, you probably climbed a mountain, and so you had credibility. And what started happening is a lot, and back in those days, there was like in Canada here, Tom, how many of us was it? There were 20 of us or something, and that's about it. And everybody was known. And then when we started CAPS, a lot of people started coming into the business, and they'd heard the speech 3 or 4 times, they would memorize it. So they would speak about leadership, and I remember asking somebody, so what have you led? What have I read about in the Globe and Mail that you've led? And well, I didn't have to lead anything. And so we started seeing a credibility gap. And one of the things we wanted to address by starting CAPS back in those days was to bring some relevance to the speaking industry and some professionalism to the speaking industry. And so this is why we started the whole CSP program. And so this would give people credibility, because if we don't do that, the government is going to come in and regulate us, because there's no barriers to entry to become a speaker. You can just say, I want to be a speaker, and away you go. And that's taken away credibility. And there's a great ad, if I can just say this, 1 minute is hard. But there's a great ad on television last year, I don't know if anybody saw it, where there's this guy shows this guy in a hotel, and he's taking the laundry out of hotel rooms, and then takes it down to the laundry, and he's putting it in the laundry, he does the laundry through. And then he runs into a change room, and he gets into a suit, and he runs across the street to another. Has anybody seen this ad? It's an amazing ad. You have this, yeah, and he runs across the street, and he puts on a suit, and he runs across the street, and he runs on stage, and he says, you can be anything you want to be. Just all you do is set goals and have a strategy. And he's just mimicking all the things that everybody is saying in books and so on. And so I think we have to, it's this organization that has to address it. And we have to bring credibility and relevance to this industry, to this speaking industry.
Thank you very much, Joe. That was fabulous. Just as
say,
good as in Margaret's.
Can I just say, I really want to congratulate the 4 participants up here tonight. That was, it takes an amazing amount of courage to speak to speakers. I'll tell you why. Half of them will say, I can do better than that. And the other half say, boy, that was good, I'm going to steal her material. So look, let's hear for you, folks.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And you can see Joe at Yuck Yucks every Saturday night. Jennifer Spear, MBA, is a grad of Second City and a member of NSA, the International Association of Facilitators, and the Applied Improvisation Network. She is the CAPS rep on the Meetings Mean Business Canada Board, which was formerly the Business Events Industry Coalition of Canada, the BEICC. Jennifer, what are meetings planners' biggest challenges, and how can we solve them so that we are the go-to speakers?
That's 2 questions.
You knew that I would trick you. You had me, didn't you?
So I think meeting planners are dealing with the same issues everybody's dealing with, which is having to do more with less. So they're time crunch, they're budget crunch, and they have to make more of an impact. In terms of what we can do to help that and to become the go-to, I mean, you have to be good on stage, right? But that's table stakes. Like, you just have to be good on stage. I think you also have to be good off stage. And so to be really easy to work with. So prior to the event, answer their emails, send the material when they request it. And at the event, be there. Just like really be there, be present. And so when things go wrong, and things will go wrong, be the one to help them fix it. Right? Anybody can be good when things are going smoothly, but if you can be the one who helps them out of a jam when things go wrong, and something's gonna go wrong, then you're gonna be the go-to, right? They've got the confidence in you, you're gonna be there to support them, they're gonna have the confidence to refer you. And so I think that's what we can do, is be good on and off the platform.
Thanks, Jennifer. Can you pass that back to We had a little talk about playing nice out here before. So Bob Parker. Bob is a CSP, past national president of CAPS, and co-founder of the SWO chapter. He has 25 years in management consulting, and he trains on teamwork using his signature experiential program, the Pit Crew Challenge, which is all right, Bob. You believe in co-creating with clients, and you built a thriving business doing that. What does co-creating with clients mean, and how can speakers add to their keynote business by developing a consulting role with an organization like that, and work with them more than once?
Great questions. I got that, Jennifer. So, a funny thing happened to me tonight at dinner with the old timers. Some of them falling asleep, so I checked my email. I got an email from a client that I worked with a few months back, and they want a follow-up to my Pit Crew Challenge program. And what's amazing about that email is, a month ago, I put out to the universe that I want to have a follow-up program. But what I do is I co-create. I like to work with a client to create a product instead of just creating it and hoping someone actually buys it, because it's a whole lot harder to market it. It's easier to market it when they've already bought it, and you're creating it with them. It's how I actually created my program, the Pit Crew Challenge, 17 years ago, is I did co-create it. So what's brilliant is that I now have the client to actually co-create this with. And so I'll sit down with them, they already know me, and whatever we create is going to be brilliant because it was their ideas as well, as long as I deliver on their ideas. So I don't have to own all of it myself. One of the things that I think is really trendy now, so I started out as a keynoter many, many years ago and got into doing a whole lot more training. In fact, it's the majority of what I do now. But in the training world, what I'm seeing a lot to get that repeat business are what we call action learning projects. So it's where you actually have teams of people go out and have a project within their organization to action on the things that you taught them. But what's brilliant about action learning projects is they have to present them to somebody, usually senior executives or something of that nature. And guess who has to come in and help them with the presentations or with making sure that those action project learnings got done or the reports got done? You, and you get to charge for that. Keeps you around longer, you become valuable. So start thinking more about how can I embed myself in that organization. And action learning projects are only, if you want to know more, I can tell you if you've ever heard the term. I'm happy to share that with you, but that's fine.
Thanks, Bob. That's fantastic. So now we're just going to open it up to everyone on the panel. One question, and everybody's going to weigh in. As we've alluded to, today we have more and more people doing paid speaking, so the competition has really increased. We've got industry experts and execs, university and college faculty, entrepreneurs learning how to keynote, celebrity speakers like Chris Hadfield, and people on our very own panel.
You're thrown under the bus a lot.
And we've got, of course, panels that are going to give you 4 brilliant speakers instead of 1 keynoter. So guys, how can a CAP speaker compete with that? Who would like to start?
I started last time, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thought that I had when I
Look at me like that.
no, I don't know that. I wanted to go first. What I think we can do is go into their world as well. So if someone is in, let's say we do have the professors and whatnot, and they're coming in artists, well, why can't we go into theirs? Let's look to see where they came from, and look to see where they made their money in the past, and let's broaden the field. There's nothing to say that we can't. I work with Duke University, Cornell, a number of universities. I'm not a doctorate. I don't have those sorts of degrees, but they do bring me in to do those pieces that I am an expert in. So right back at you.
Fantastic.
I like your answer. I think that there's really no us and them. And maybe that's because I see it from the other perspective. As I say quote unquote celebrity speaker very, very loosely. nobody really hires me because they know my name per se, but they do know the team that I played on, and they do know my expert field, just like all of you guys in this room. So I think we look at celebrities and think they have this unfair advantage, but in reality they have created that unfair advantage by making themselves big names, just like each person in this room can do. And so I think including those people, like was said earlier, as broadening the field, but I'm going to go one step further and say including those people in CAPS. I mean, they are speakers as well and experts in their field. So we are all the same. We're all in this industry, and let's make the pie bigger.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Well, I certainly agree with that. And in terms of making the pie bigger, we have to be a little bit more diverse as well. What I'm finding is that there's, you talked about university professors, you talked about the speakers. I see a divergence going on right now. Before you could be a professional speaker, a motivational speaker, or you could be a trainer, or you could be that. I see what clients are looking for now is someone to, not to do a 90-minute keynote, but to do a 20-minute keynote, and thank you, Ted, for that. But then have 3 days of skill building. And I think that's where the world is going, is we have to have our 20-minute keynote, which we may be doing for free, which will lead into then 2 or 3 or 5 days of consulting and training. And I see more and more of that going on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, and I agree. And in terms of making the pie bigger, I think that's definitely the way to go. And recognizing what clients need and be there for them, as opposed to trying to say, you know, that's us versus them. And I think really what we can do to stand out is be professional speakers and to show up and be professional every time, and then refer each other. So we're always referring back to CAPS, and I think that's one way to make sure that we are seen differently.
That's a brilliant point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, she gets to start next. MPI International has set a new goal. Stop planning meetings and start creating experiences. How can we turn our one-to-many keynotes or our other presentations into interactive experiences so that meeting players will be all over themselves to hire us? Jennifer.
I hope
Yes.
you're able to answer.
Well, you wanted the microphone.
I have the microphone. So I spoke to MPI, and I think the title of my talk was Stop Planning Meetings and Start Planning Experiences, so I'll take responsibility for some of that.
You can own that. All right.
But it really is about an experience. So they don't need us to provide content. They can Google anything. They don't have to get out of their pajamas to do it. No one's sitting on a plane and getting to a conference room to get any more information. So it really is about the experience. But the experience can be multi-dimensional. It can come in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be that you have some sort of cool icebreaker. Like, that's not what it's about. It's something that's relevant to you and to your message so that you can make an impact on the audience. And it's really about what can you do to help that audience understand that message or to make a difference in them. And so it's got to be relevant, it's got to be unique, and it's got to connect the audience to the message. But always remember that it's not about you, it's always about them, and making sure that you're able to provide that experience. But I think it really is about that experience. But there are multiple different ways that we can do that, for sure. But yeah, they don't need us for a meeting.
I 100% agree. I had an experience a little while ago where I was a speaker, one of the keynote speakers, and then afterwards I sat in the audience to listen to another keynote speaker, and I think it was a home builders association, or one of those construction kind of meetings, association meetings. And so I said at the end of the speaker, I said to the guy beside me, I said, "So how do you like the speaker?" He said, "Well, he was pretty good, but and he was motivational. And he was funny too. But you know what I'd like is, you see Fred over there, sitting over there. He came here from Italy. He had no money. He has grade 6 education, and he turned a construction company into $1 billion industry. I want to hear what Charlie or Fred, whatever his name is, has to say. But Charlie or Fred, they're not going to get up on stage and do a speech. And that's what you're doing is exactly the trend we're seeing in meetings. They want to hear from each other, and that's what your point is too. Get that experience and electricity in the room of the people. And there's a little bit of a misnomer when people talk about, oh, well, mine's experiential. When I do a talk, and well, what do? Well, I ask some questions, you know. And have you ever been to one of those and you have a speaker? The first thing to do up the stage is, all right, who here has children? Who here has a mother? Who here has, what are you going to talk about? Or here's another great experiential. Talk to your neighbor about 3 things your mother said that you really, you know what I mean? That's not experiential. That's just, you know, turn it over to the audience. You really want to get them involved and get them up on stage. And this is why I think you have a great future in panel moderation. I think that's one, facilitation and panel moderation, I think, are the rising stars in our industry right now.
Well said. I reiterate what they definitely, I think you guys are spot on, but from a little different perspective, from my perspective, is that I'm straight keynoter, so I just do 1-hour talks all the time. And for anybody that is in the keynoting business, I guess my thoughts on that is to be consistent. So the message and the product that you have to offer, make it the same each and every time so that somebody listening can refer you and know what they're referring. I took an amazing course by Sherren that teaches you how to refer and get referrals from clients. And how do we do that? Is you be consistently good each and every time you're on the stage. And that way that people in the audience can refer you. So my 1-hour keynote is not interactive. I do an autograph session afterwards. They can ask questions. They get to touch and feel the gold medal, all that kind of fun stuff, which is a little bit interactive. But I also know my role. I know my role in the conference. I know my role in the particular event. So I often get booked as the morning speaker after the entire conference has gone out drinking the night before. And I get booked a lot for dinner time speaking. And that's okay. And I'm okay with that. I understand my role. I know that I'm entertainment value, and that's what I have to provide. And I want to be consistent with that each and every time so that the client knows what they're getting to and knows what they're referring to the next person as well.
This is a great question. Ditto.
Sorry, different, yeah.
No, yeah, that's great. So I'm the experienced guy. The Pit Crew Challenge. If you don't know anything about it, I actually get participants to change tires on a race car. And yes, I love a race car around everywhere I go. A real one. I think I understand experience, and doing it on the platform is completely different and certainly challenging. What I would like to suggest is something that I was taught many years ago, is to get the audience doing something as quickly as you can. That's kind of the trainer world. Don't talk too much before you actually get them into it. And challenge them on something. So challenge a thought, challenge a concept, but just challenge them to do something. So there's a reason why I call it the Pit Crew Challenge, is because I'm going to challenge you in the audience. I'm going to challenge you while you're doing it. But we start off with going, this is what you're going to do. And we get you right into it as soon as we possibly can. And I think once they've got the challenge part, their brain will start to come along and they'll be able to kind of get into it. I like the facilitation concept. I am proud to call myself a facilitator. That's what I do. And there's a whole lot of speaking in it. There's little keynote moments, there's little trading moments, but I'm a facilitator. And I facilitate your learning. And I do it through experiences. So be creative. Do something that scares you, that you think may fall flat. Try it. That's what's keeping you back from doing the experiences, because you're not sure how it's going to go. Believe me, when I rolled that race car the first time, I was quite nervous, but now it's good.
Fantastic. Thank you all. That sort of segues into this because having these experiences with a car may have involved a little volatility, a little excitement there. And Jim Carroll, futurist, trends and innovation expert and keynoter, says, and as we all know this, volatility is the new normal, right? And that I think Jennifer alluded to, events are no longer just events. They are critical get-togethers that help a company, association, or organization adapt to sudden new realities. So we have a lot more to do than just keynoting. So who wants to start on this one? What do we...
Maybe not the keynote.
Well, you want to start? What can we do to provide, more relevance, to be relevant, to offer more value in this volatile market that's out there for people who are hiring us?
Well, the first thing is to find out where your clients are, and then with them, take them to where you need them to be. I see a lot of times the speakers are way over here, and they're telling their audience, come with me, it's down here. And that's where there's a disconnect. Start where they are, and move them slowly, gradually, or fast, or wherever you need to, down the direction to where you want them to go. So that's gradual steps. And I was very fortunate last month to see Jean Marie DiGiovanni. She was at the convention last year. Anyone see her? Brilliant. She shared something with me. I shared it with Mark at the break, and I love this. This is all her. But this helped me get over a challenge that I was having in creating the next thing. And she said, if your client did everything you told them to do, so from your keynote, your workshop, whatever, they did everything you told them to do, what problem will they have now? And I knew that. It's the what next. I said, what's next? What's next? I don't know what's next. But as soon as she phrased it that way, it just clicked for me. What problem do they have now? Now solve that problem. And I think that's how we can actually drive that more business. Just ask, because we'll have another problem. You've just got to position yourself that you can be there to solve it for them.
And 100% agree, and you also have to identify a problem that they have that they don't even know they have. And that is the best way to get into a client initially and to stay with them. And let them know that you have the credibility and the experience to be able to bring them along. You have a problem, you don't even know about it, I have the solution, and you take them along with that solution. And again, that's why, by the way, let me start off by saying, there's going to be room for everybody, whether you're a facilitator, whether you're a keynoter, whether you're whatever, there's room for everybody in this business. And we've known that right from the beginning, making the pie bigger, as we say. But we are seeing a divergence. There's room for the celebrity speakers. And see, I don't think, maybe you, in this room, we're celebrity speakers. We're not Bill Clinton, and we're not, some big celebrity that someone's going to pay $150,000 to stand up on stage for an hour. We have to earn our money, and we have to build that credibility that we have done it before. I don't know if I have time to tell this short story. It's a story about the guy that was stuck down a hole. Has anybody heard this one? He's stuck down a hole and he's shouting, "Help! Help! Help!" And a priest comes along. And he says, "What's wrong with me?" He says, "Well, I fell down this hole and I need help. Can you help me?" And the priest says, "Sure, I'll say a prayer for you," and walked away. So he's still stuck down the hole, and he starts shouting again, "Help! Help! Help!" And after a while, a doctor comes along. And the doctor says, "What's going on?" He says, "Well, I fell down this big hole and I can't get out." And he says, "Can you help me?" And the doctor says, "Absolutely. I'll write a prescription." And threw it down the hole. That's not, so he's still shouting, "Help, help." And after a while, a friend comes along. I stand there, "What's going on?" He says, "Well, I fell down this hole and I can't get out." And the friend jumped down the hole. And the guy says, "Well, what'd you do that for? Now we're both stuck down that hole." And the friend says, "Yes, but I've been down this hole before, and I know the way out." So you got to be able to, as you say, jump down the hole with your client and show them the way out. And if you have the credibility that you've done it before, you're in there.
So the question again was about in terms of being relevant in a volatile.
The volatile new normal, yeah.
Both of you really addressed that well. And I guess what I think about in that question is kind of the answer in terms of make sure that you're relevant. Because your clients and your audiences are facing so much change. Like the pace is just incredible today. And if your clients are in technology, I mean, it's exponential in terms of what they're facing. So they're constantly facing change, and so your job is to make sure that you are always relevant to what they're going through. So think about them. What are they going through, and how is what you know going to help them? How can you be relevant to them? And always remember, it's not about you, it's about them. So if you're able to help them, but understand the environment that they work in, and then I think your material can stay fresh and relevant if you're always applying it back to the current situation. What are their challenges? What are their unique opportunities that they're going through? And it can be, you can talk to multiple different industries and different clients, as long as you're always thinking about what are they going through, and then how is what I know going to help them do what they need to do.
Yeah.
They made me think of a really great answer. How to stay relevant in a volatile market is join CAPS. Because I know that when I first started being a speaker in 1998 when I joined the national team, most of my teammates hated speaking and they didn't want to do it. That's kind of how I got forced into being in front of large audiences. But when I decided what I wanted to really do with my life, I had no idea. And so I joined the Association of Professional Speakers, and it has made all the difference in the world. I've spent money on websites, I've spent money on creating a book, I've spent money on those other things, but I've never spent $1 besides my CAPS dollars on speaking, because I think we have so many amazing coaches in this room. We have so many amazing resources through our websites, through our different interactive offerings that CAPS has. And so use all that stuff. I try to be the best that I can be as a speaker, just like I was the best that I could be as a hockey player. You're always training, you're always practicing, and there's always more to learn.